Go for it, buddy.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 47 of the Cross Media Show. Today's topic, the best movies of 2021. But before we get into our discussion, if you're listening on your favorite podcast service, feel free to give us a good rating on that platform. It helps the algorithms and helps us grow our audience. If you're watching on YouTube, consider dropping a like and a sub, and don't forget to hit that bell to get notifications on all our shows like the Penultimate Game Show, the Marvel Mondays Initiative, and Anime Nation. If you're watching on Twitch and have Amazon Prime, you have Prime Gaming, which means you get one free sub to give out. We'd love if you give it to us, but if not, that's quite alright. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Ryan, host of Anime Nation, and I got some great guests to talk movies today. First off, I got someone who I'm sure is going to have Tick Tick Boom on their list and loves most things Resident Evil, Tessa. How's it going, Tessa?
I'm actually wearing a Resident Evil shirt right now, so it's kind of funny. But you nailed it.
I'm gonna look for a picture. Hold on, Ryan. I'm gonna look for a picture of Andrew Garfield in Tick Tick Boom, just to place right next to Tessa during the podcast.
Perfect. Exactly what we need. And while that mysterious belongs to my boy, the Mr. Movie Reviewer himself, the host of Large Popcorn, Cristian. How's it going, Cristian?
What's up, everybody? Ready to talk some movies? I have most of my movies ranked for 2021, minus 2 of them. Otherwise, I'm ready to go.
All right. We just have some light housekeeping to do before we can dive into that while you're searching for a nice photo of Andrew Garfield.
I mean, they're all nice, to be fair.
You're not wrong there. Well, Ruben finally did it. This month's schedule is up on the website. We'll be doing a lot of content this year, so make sure to check the schedule every week at penultimateconquest.com/stream. Such as tomorrow at 6 p.m. EST, we have Hype Check for 2022 games. That'll be me, Ruben, and Lance talking all things 2022 games. And if you have any thoughts on 22 games you want to say, put it out on SpeakPipe at speakpipe.com/penconquest. And with that brings us to the big topic, the fun one, the one that's got us talking. Our top 5 movies of 2021. And I'm going to start this off with Tessa. What is your 5th best movie of the year that you saw?
Actually, before we start, I'm sorry, Ryan, to interrupt again. Forgive me.
That's all good. It's all good.
So, before we get into our personal top 5s, I do want to say that I polled the Penultimate Conquest crew over on
you do that.
Yeah, over on our Facebook message group. I had a Google survey up. I had everyone that's in that group submit their top 5 movies. They are weighted. So I have everyone's score here minus our 3. I did not look at Ryan's answers. I did not look at Tessa's answers. So as we podcast, I'll be placing those in there. That way, live on the show, we'll be able to see what is the Penultimate Conquest's official top 5 movies of 2021.
Awesome. Can't wait to see. Bet it's going to be something interesting. And with that, let's dive into it. Tessa, what is the 5th best movie you've seen this year?
No Way Home.
Okay.
Like I said, I have things listed kind of weird. But...
No. I'm glad we're starting with talking about Andrew Garfield. I'm glad he has instantly been brought up. Why is that your number 5? What did you love about No Way Home?
So I have always been a very big advocate for Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man, and it really pissed me off how much people shit on him for his Spider-Man portrayal. Because it's really, really unfair. He got the shittiest villains and some bad writing, but what he did was amazing.
Oh, nice to see what you did there.
I didn't even realize.
That rocks.
But yeah, I've always been a big proponent of him, and No Way Home kind of redeemed that. Because suddenly I see online everyone's talking about how much they loved Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man, and suddenly it's like the 2 Amazing Spider-Man films just didn't happen. You know, they weren't trash. He's actually really good. And I'm like, come on, guys. But apart from that, I was also equally shocked that I didn't hate Tobey Maguire as much as I thought I would. He's not my favorite. He's not my favorite. He's not the strongest actor. And those movies did not age as well as everyone seems to think they did. Minus the train scene, still a really good scene. And Spider-Man's just a fun film. It's always a fun time to watch Spider-Man. Spider-Man. You get all three in this one, so yeah. It was a fun film. Not my favorite MCU film this year, and I know I'm gonna get heat for that, but it is what it is.
You're entitled to your opinions, and if I actually no, I'll save it. I want to save this for later for what your favorite MCU film is. But to piggyback on Spider-Man, and no, I'm not going to talk about No Way Home. Your comment on Andrew Garfield is inspired. Thank you so much, because not only was Andrew Garfield not redeemed, he didn't need it. He was already redeemed in Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2. And even though I will maintain that the Tobey Maguire movies 1 and 2 specifically, like, they hold up well enough. Like, they have their issues, of course. Like, Tessa's spot on that, like, they're not perfect movies, right? They're still really well made.
Oh,
I will die on the hill that Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2 are probably more fun to watch than the Tobey Maguire movies.
Also, just want to say,
100%.
Yes.
I'm sorry. Just want to say, to further go off of that, I still maintain if you take Andrew Garfield and Emma Stone and give them the villains of Spider-Man 1 and 2, you would have, like, perfection. But anyway, that's neither here nor there.
It always felt like it was on the brink of being really good. It just needed that extra piece.
Oh,
Because they were so good as Peter Parker and Gwen Stacy. They were great in those roles.
Yeah.
But this will be one of the first hot button topics I have on my list is I don't have Spider-Man on it. So I'm going to take this moment to talk about Spider-Man. In a year of amazing movies, also my favorite MCU movie of the year either. I thought Spider-Man was everything that it needed to be. It checked every mark that I needed to make sure it checked for it to be a super fun movie. And that's what it was. It was fun. And it was the first time I got to see that big theater experience in a very long time. Like, I forgot what it was like to be in a fully packed house kind of deal.
Right.
With that loud of noise and everyone cheering once a character appeared on screen and all that. It felt like being in the theater again for Endgame. And I didn't know if Marvel was going to be able to give me those moments like that so close to the end of the Avengers saga that we knew and we saw for 10 years going. So to see that kind of enjoyment and excitement again was really fun on that level. So I just want to say my piece on Spider-Man. Definitely one of my ones that is in my top 10 but couldn't crack this top 5.
Nice.
And with that, it comes to you, Cristian. What is
your
fifth best movie of the year? Yeah.
I will say Spider-Man is not on my top 5 either, but I think it's staying in the top 10. Where it is, you'll have to wait and see for my actual official list. Otherwise, my number 5 list, Ryan, you may know this movie because you were on Large Popcorn to talk about this movie. Of course, I'm talking about Wes Anderson's The French Dispatch. Congratulations, you're my number 5. If you haven't seen The French Dispatch, you should. If you like the Grand Budapest Hotel, if you liked Moonrise Kingdom, if you loved all things that are like sweet and somber and kind of melancholy, then French Dispatch is for you. Like, I mean, you may not jive with the kind of vignette storytelling the movie is doing because there's like 3 different chapters, so it's like not an actual contained story. But there's like an overarching narrative about like the actual making of the newspaper, the French Dispatch, thematically that I thought like works really well. And even though it was like super sweet and a lot of it was hilarious and I'm enjoying it and like it's funny and it's fun, I still left the theater being like kind of sad and I couldn't quite put my finger why. And I think that's what the beauty of the French Dispatch is all about for me and why I like it so much. So because of that, yeah, it's definitely top 10 worthy and it's my number 5.
I will have to give that a watch.
I would definitely recommend it. And that brings it to me. And my 5th favorite movie of the year was Shang-Chi and the Legend
Let's
of the Ten
go.
Rings. To me, this was one of the most unique, fun, and just enjoyable Marvel times I've had in a very long time. I love that it was at its core just a kung fu movie, like classic old school feeling kung fu movie. It had that awesome vibe to it. The fight scenes in it were filmed incredibly. And I've always said this. the best Marvel movies come from where they don't have to be strangled in by everybody knowing everything about the character. Like when you code to Spider-Man, you can't be crazy with Spider-Man because everyone already has their opinion on what a Spider-Man story should be. But when you pull these obscure, rare characters, you get these amazing movies like Guardians of the Galaxy, like Doctor Strange and all that stuff. They're no-named characters, but you can they're a lot more loose with the lore there, so you can have a lot more fun with it. I think
Like
that,
Eternals.
like
Let's go.
Eternals, that's a great example. I think that's where Marvel thrives, and that's where I get the most enjoyment out of Marvel. And Shang-Chi was just the pinnacle of that, in my opinion. It is easily in my top 5 favorite Marvel movies of all time.
Yeah,
Easily.
dude. Before Tessa goes or talks about Shang-Chi, I just want to echo. I mean, I'm on the Marvel podcast, so I talked about it enough yesterday. So all I'll say is that Shang-Chi was like legit the breath of fresh air I needed in the MCU for Phase 4 that I hope sets the tone for movies going forward. Oh, bless you, Ruby. Yeah, and that's it.
I will say, I did enjoy Shang-Chi. I loved it the first watch, and it kind of got a little weak in the third act for me. I will say I loved the cast. I wasn't the biggest fan of Awkwafina specifically in this movie, but that's okay. Like, I don't know, my brain had a hard time kind of going like, oh yeah, no, she's totally been doing this for like one day and she totally made that shot from like all the way across right at the throat. Got it. But like the second time I watched it, whenever I went back to the theater with Eric to see it, I had a really difficult time making it through, and I'm not sure why, but that kind of left like a bad taste in my mouth for it. I don't know what was up with that. The second watch just wasn't as enjoyable for me, I guess. But yeah.
Sure. That's fair.
So,
That's fair and fine. We accept all views here. And I honestly haven't gone and watched it for a second time, so maybe it doesn't hold up during that. I'm curious now.
Ryan, before you go,
for you.
I forgot to mention earlier, John is in chat, and he says that he 100% agreed with Tessa earlier on your quotes on Spider-Man, saying Garfield plus Emma Stone plus the Raimi villains would have been awesome. So there you go, Tessa. Your opinions are valid. Not that you needed it.
And with that, though, it comes back to Tessa with what was your 4th favorite movie of the year?
Eternals.
Let's go. Nice.
I got questionable looks whenever I said it's my second favorite MCU film. But that being said, I absolutely loved it. I understand that it had a few pacing issues, but the characters that were presented were all done so beautifully. It was a very effortless blend of, different cultures, different ethnicity, different minority groups. You had representation of LGBTQ. It just covered so many different things that you don't see in a film, let alone all together. The story itself, parts were a little weak. The deviant part was a little weak, but overall, I thought it was really solid. I have never fangirled over Angelina Jolie as much as I did in that movie. Thena is a damn queen, and I will stand by that. But yeah, I really loved the representation, the relationships. I love that for a Marvel film, it focused more on the characters and how they interact with one another. They still had the big, huge, kind of final boss fight, I guess you could say, at the end, but overall, it focused more on the characters and how they're interacting with the world around them, and I think it was a really pretty, or not pretty, aesthetically pleasing, so yeah, pretty film. But apart from that, I also appreciate whenever films show how beautiful the earth can actually be. And they also touch that. So overall, I really love that film. I think it's great. Ruby apparently thinks it's great.
Yes, you
But
should.
yeah, I very much so enjoyed that movie. So
Tessa, I want to jump on something you said earlier, which I totally agree with. I mean, most of it, what you said, I actually like 100%, most of it, like all of it, I agree with. But what you said about Thena, I think you're 100% right. Because I feel like a lot of people didn't really like Thena because of, I forget what it was called, that like disease that the Eternals get where they start
right,
to like, forget their memories start fragmenting. That I think works so well. Like Thena is such a strong character, not because she's defined by that disease that she's going through, but because of her capabilities to overcome it and to love despite it, which I think is kind of the theme of Eternals is like underlying everything is love and the way that like that can hurt each other, but also like bring us all together. I don't know. I Eternals is like one that I desperately want to watch again. I just haven't had the time to do it since it came out. But you're right. Like Chloe
right.
Zhao's filmmaking, I think both hurts Eternals for the most part. You mentioned pacing, but I think introduces a new style and like kind of tone that we haven't seen in the MCU like ever, which I thought was awesome. It's the first movie since like Phase One to be shot on film again. Like I think Iron Man 1 was
Right.
shot on film. I don't know any others that were after, but
You
yeah.
see,
So
Christian. Uh, I just want to jump on to something Christian and I said real quick, Tessa. So if you could please hold that thought.
no, you're good.
Um, you brought because we're talking about Chloe Zhao right now and her directing style. I actually want to bring it back to something Tessa said of how aesthetically pleasing and heartfelt
Mm,
love shots that were to the earth and what the earth meant. That is a thing that flows throughout Chloe Zhao's filmography, and it's really shown off in Eternals. I just want to
yeah.
bring that up.
I just wanted to say too, I think the reason partially that this film gets so much hate, I guess, because I can't tell you how many times I've seen like all the memes about how terrible it is and no one wants to see this and all this stuff.
Mm,
Part of me wonders if people have just gotten so used to the Marvel formula of all these big, huge action pieces and,
yeah.
everything's really fast paced. It's, go, 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 that they're letting that kind of like cloud their views on just the film in itself. Because like you said, this is kind of in a way separated from the rest of the MCU films with how it is shot. So I feel like people are also in a way unfairly kind of judging it because it isn't like the other MCU films,
Yeah, I agree.
Oh,
which really kind of
100%.
irritates me.
Yeah.
100%.
But anyway,
People didn't give this the shot it deserved,
but we're
and
getting more. So
we are
that's
getting more.
Yeah.
I forgot that was happening.
Yeah. Also, fuck that Variety journalist who decided to spoil the end credit scene just for the sake of being the first person to write about it.
Oh
That really
yeah, I
sucked.
forgot about that.
Hmm.
That was
I
bullshit.
didn't know that. Wait, he wrote about it or
Yeah,
she? He?
at the premiere, like he announced that I'm obviously going to spoil the end credit scene that Harry Styles was cast as Star Fox or whatever, like as like
Yeah.
yeah, he's in the MCU now, which is supposed to be like a big reveal, obviously, and like
Mhm.
he just posted about it, and like nothing happened. There's no repercussions. Marvel was just like, hey, please don't do this, because obviously he's like an established journalist, apparently, Variety. But
Very
like,
high up.
that's not cool.
Yeah. No.
See, I'm so good at not getting on Twitter that I just don't see these things.
Mm-hmm.
Eric's like, okay, don't get on Twitter or Facebook or anything. And I'm like, you realize
Don't
pretty
worry.
much the only thing I do is get on, post, and get off, right?
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, that's really crummy.
Ah, God, no, that's sad. All I'm going to say is give Eternals another chance now that it's on Disney Plus. I think it's worth another shot, people who didn't like it.
Mhm.
At least for the cinematography alone, it's worth a nice watch. And with that, Christian, what is your fourth best movie of the year?
My number 4 pick is a small movie by Mike Mills. You may have known Mike Mills by the other 2 movies he's done, Beginners and 20th Century Women. This movie is a black and white movie starring Joaquin Phoenix and what was the name of the small child? I think it was Woody Norman, I think is his name. Called Come On, Come On. And before I even tell you about what the movie is about, I want to read you my review, which is I always do spoiler-free reviews. There's something special about a movie that concerns itself with thinking about people, with emotion, with memory, and with futurity. Not to understand them, but to accept them for what they are, part of life. This movie is as much heartbreaking as it is beautiful. legit, like not enough people watch Come On, Come On. It's a little bit. It's not that long, but you kind of feel its length because of kind of how slow it is. But it's about this uncle who's taking care of his nephew while taking him along these trips as Joaquin Phoenix is interviewing all these kids about what the future of society is going to look like. So he's trying to juggle his job, but also trying to juggle being this fatherly figure. And it's like one of the sweetest movies I've seen probably ever, especially in 2021. And like I legit can't recommend it enough. Like this movie like really struck a chord with me. It's one of those movies where like the credits rolled and there's still audio playing from like these interviews, and I just sat there and listened. Just to like I wanted more interviews of these kids, and there's tons of them in the movie. Like it's amazing. Please check it out.
So I'm actually going to talk about this for a second, Christian, because I knew this episode was coming up, especially if you on. I knew I had to have my deep roots into all. So I had a little double feature last night featuring "Come On, Come On," and God, what a film,
Yeah.
what a film. You're right though. You do feel its length because of the way it is paced out, but when that movie decides to throw those emotional punches, you really feel them.
Yeah.
It gets you so invested in those characters for not that long of a runtime. It was like a little under 2 hours, a little over 2 hours. I can't remember.
We need more movies that talk about pooping, and this movie does it.
You're right, it does.
Well,
God.
now I'm adding it to my list.
Yeah. The kid's
You
like, my
sold
stomach
it.
hurts. I gotta poop. It's like, yeah, we need more of this.
But for me, my number 4 movie is the movie that would not have made this list if I didn't watch that double feature last night, and that'd be Power of the Dog.
Let's go.
The
Nice.
Netflix Western that was getting a lot of buzz. I finally sat down last night to watch it, and holy hell, what a film. What a film. It is this cut of what I'd say would be 1 to 2 years of these ranchers' lives and how a marriage and the bringing in of another family member affects the way that ranch runs, how people interact with them, and that. Because I really don't want to spoil any of this movie because
Yeah.
the little bits of it are what really sell this film. It's also some of the best acting I've seen from Benedict Cumberbatch in a very long time. I sometimes forget that man can really act when he wants to.
I was about to say, I'm glad like Cumberbatch is getting his kind of feelers out there for like best actor nominees, because like legit
Mhm,
that man can act, and I think a
mhm.
lot of people forget that he like has those
Yeah,
chops in him.
yeah. I was watching that last night. I'm like, holy hell, he can act.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I can never think of that actor's name, but the one who plays George in that film. Um,
Jesse Plemons.
he, yes, God, does he just play the same character he's played since Breaking Bad with that voice?
Yeah.
He's always just that meek little dude. I'm like, you've been really typecasted into that
Goodness.
role.
You just made me think of, I'm sorry, the voice actor for Hiccup from How to Train Your Dragon. I can't think of the Jay
Andy,
something.
isn't that Andy Samberg?
No, that's Jay, like, oh my goodness.
Oh, Jay.
Well,
Oh, yeah, from the Judd Apatow stuff. Yeah, I know. I know what you're
yeah,
talking
I
about.
was
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
he literally just plays the same thing all the time, that awkward kind of like shut
Yeah.
in just, and I'm like, you poor thing.
Yeah, I'm like, you're really good at it, so I'm not going to complain.
You're talking
But
about Jay Baruchel.
Yes, I was like, I know his last name starts with a B. I can't think of what it is.
Amazing.
definitely go watch Power of the Dog if you have Netflix. It is a amazing just western, and in a year that I'll be honest, I wasn't a fan of the other western Netflix put out this year, but I
Harder
thought
They
this one
Fall.
was really good. I did not like Harder They Fall.
Yeah, that's fair.
It I wanted it to be so much more than it was. And I'm also even a fan though of like the more spaghetti style westerns. That's usually where I sit with westerns. But it just wasn't there for me. I
Mhm.
thought I reached the heights of some other movies and it just didn't. But The Power of the Dog did, and that's why it is my number 4 best movie of the year. And with that, I send it back to Tessa for their number 3.
So, I just want to say I haven't seen that many movies this year, but my third is definitely The Suicide Squad. Never
No.
before.
Hmm.
What were you saying, Christian?
I was gonna say not to be confused with Suicide Squad 2016.
No.
Yeah.
No.
I just
Never
wanna wa-
before has a second film, so wonderfully redeemed its predecessor. It's like the opposite effect of Wonder Woman, you know?
Oh
Um,
man.
God, yeah.
um,
Oh, my brain just
but
forgets 1984 existed.
Hmm.
yeah, exactly. And my brain sometimes forgets that Suicide Squad from 2016 existed. But I loved it. One of my favorite characters in comics is actually Harley Quinn. So I love to see her arc, and I love to see it without, such a heavy reliance on the Joker. Um, Apart from that, I just want to say Rick Flag got the best character redemption in that film. I was actually really upset whenever old boy essentially just like, what did he do? Did he like tear his heart out or like slam something over his throat? Like, I don't know.
He
Rick Flag
stabbed
got
him in the
brutally
chest.
murdered and it really upset me. um and at the end I was like, oh my goodness, did Rick Flag survive? Well, like the little after credit scenes, I was like, man, I don't want him to survive. I don't like him. Sorry to John Cena. It really upset me. But yeah, I thought that was such a well done film. DC really needed that, especially with Wonder Woman 84, because God. Um, yeah, I just ugh. But yeah, it was such a fun, well done film. Yeah, I have that above both of the Marvel films that are on my list. So well done,
Wow.
DC.
That's insane. I was not expecting that. I'll be really honest. I was
Um,
really expecting Eternals in your 1 or 2 slots. I'm very excited to see what those are now.
it did so
But
well with that
but
camaraderie between the characters.
Suicide Squad has to be the 2021, not 2016. Has to be one of my favorite collection of like a group hero movie since probably Civil War. Where I'm like, I am having so much fun caring about every one of these characters and their different problems they had. It
Mm.
did such a good job of making me care for characters again.
Oh, I
Which,
was in love with King Shark.
oh,
Let's
King Shark was
continue.
great. I mean, when he fell out the building, I was like, they didn't just kill him. Oh,
Yeah.
he's dead. I am sad
Or like
now.
right before that when he was playing with the little like jelly thing. I was like, "Oh my god, why is
Oh
it
yeah.
adorable?" uh,
But I
I,
really just have to give a shout out to James Gunn for how well he can make me care about characters I have no prior knowledge of, or if it is, it's completely different than the version he's showing me in such a small amount of time. I think it's one of the things he does best.
I can
And
agree with that.
Christian, you have anything you want to say on 2021 Suicide Squad?
I didn't like Suicide Squad, so I just won't say anything.
Okay.
The only thing I'll say is that Joel Kinnaman continues to be a great actor, and yeah, his character Rick
Yeah.
Flag was way better written in this one. Like he was such a good character.
And you know what? I appreciate that statement because I love me some Joel Kinnaman.
Mm-hmm.
All
Mm-hmm.
right. All right. Well, with that then, Christian, what was your number 3 movie?
My number 3 pick is a small movie by directed by Hideaki Anno, a movie long awaited by anime fans and Evangelion fans. Of course, I'm talking about Evangelion 3.0 plus 1.0, Thrice Upon a Time. Yeah, thank you, Ryan. You point out the shirt, Neon Genesis. What up? The Evangelion 3.0 is the most beautiful movie of 2021 by far. Like this movie reinforces that in order for us to like continue on, not only do we have to allow others to love us, but for more importantly, for us to love ourselves. And that is how life goes on. That message struck so deeply with me at a time that I really needed it. Not just because we're stuck at home, but because like it gets kind of lonely out here, right? And like I can start to feel isolated from other people, even if I don't talk to them very often. So that really resonated. And just like one of the most beautiful sequences ever, where we're just spending 40 minutes, it's less than that, it's like 20-30 minutes of one character on a farm learning how to be human. Oh my god, so good. Yeah, really. Yeah, John, you need to watch the rebuild films, because this one really brought it back to what Evangelion wants to be. So yeah, amazing.
All right, all right. And my next movie dives into very similar subject matter with The Green Knight. Is my
Yo.
number 3 movie of the year. Now, this was one of the most insane versions of a classic tale I have ever seen portrayed through its use of weird camera shots to psychedelic triple meaning things. But at the end of the day, it is a man afraid of death and what he will do to try and escape that. Even though at the end of the day, you can never truly run from death.
Yeah.
And that's what I gathered from it. It is one of the most visually stunning movies I've seen all year. Where I remember it was the first time I was back in theaters in a very long time. I was like, oh, there is something to this movie. It is just jaw dropping to watch. If you are craving any sort of fantasy, give The Green Knight a watch. Does it end a little weirdly, and will it leave you with a lot more questions than answers? Yes, but that journey will be a hell of a ride.
In 2021, we got 2 movies specifically for the English majors, which is The Tragedy of Macbeth and The Green Knight. Cannot be happier that like these interpretations of text are like Ryan said, triple meaning in like every inch of the frame. It's so wonderful to try and unpack this movie. I've still only seen it once. I want to watch it again just to see how different my take on or my read on the film is.
That's and as you can see, the 2 English majors are really thriving out here right now.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't seen Macbeth yet. I meant to do that. I haven't gone around to it. I know it's on Apple
Yeah.
Video, I believe. I would
Yep.
like to see that in theaters.
The Green Knight came out right when I hit my third trimester, and I just wasn't up for sitting up for that long without falling asleep. So
Yeah.
I still haven't seen it because, after the third trimester comes a baby, and then my time is very limited. But it is on my list, and I do still want to see it. So maybe one day soon.
I definitely recommend it.
If you want to see dirty, sweaty, sexy Dev Patel, then Green Knight's the way to go.
It's the sexiest Dave Patel's looked in a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna lie about that.
I am intrigued.
I'm not gonna lie. And with that intrigue, I shoot it over to Tessa for your number 2 movie of the year.
My number 2 movie of the year is Tick Tick Boom.
Let's go. Let's go.
Go.
Tessa, before you start, I will say John submitted his answers, and you'll be glad to know it also made his top 5.
Yes. Excellent. Such a good movie. Such a good movie. Which once again highlights the talents of one Andrew Garfield. Excellent actor. Who didn't know he could even sing before this film, and here we are. I've never really cared about the Oscars before, but like, man, have I never wanted someone to get Best Actor so much before. I fully would love for him to get Best Actor for that, because excellent job. Beautifully done. And I know Cristian has heard me say everything I need to say about Tick Tick Boom, so I'll keep it very short. But what a lovely, wonderful, beautiful tribute to Jonathan Larson, who, of course, wrote Rent, which is also one of my favorite musicals. I love that you could see the inspirations he found in his day-to-day life in Tick Tick Boom to write Rent. Even like in the background, the news covering the AIDS crisis, stuff like that. I just thought it was so well done. And yeah, Jonathan Larson means a lot to me because he is the first exposure that I ever had to LGBTQ in a very positive fashion. So, that leaves a mark on a kid, and I love Jonathan Larson, and this movie just did so well in respecting that and paying tribute to him.
I love
So.
your Red Dead Redemption Freudian slip of you almost saying John Marston.
Oh, did I?
Yeah,
Well,
just for you corrected yourself,
I
and then you said Larson.
I
So
have a correction to make to that though. I don't know if it was a Freudian slip because I have never played Red Dead Redemption.
Oh, my bad.
Rockstar or not Rockstar, Rocksteady is not my typical
that's Rockstar.
Oh,
You
slice
had
yeah,
it
you
right
had it
the
of
first
right.
time.
Rockstar. Yeah, sorry. There's yeah, very similar, but yeah, Rockstar is not my typical gaming jam. So I've never gotten into Red Dead. I tried once, got lost. I ended up in this bar, and I was like, well, this is where he's just gonna stay at forever.
Amazing. I love that.
So,
And they're still looking for Lenny. But while we're talking about Tick Tick Boom, I wanted to. So I had no knowledge of what this film was about till about 5 seconds in. I had no idea. I knew nothing. I knew it was a musical starring Andrew Garfield. I didn't know anything about the original musical. So I didn't know it was about the guy who made Rent till about 15 minutes in when I began to gather the information and the names I needed. And I was like, oh, this is about the guy who directed Rent. Okay. And then I was like, oh, this is an amazing movie. This is. I I've been really worried about Netflix's quality. Let's say last year and the year before that, Netflix. But this year, Netflix put out some real bangers, and this is one
Mm.
of them. This is one of the best musicals, if not the best musical I've seen in a very long time. It knew when to hold the emotions, it knew when to hit with the emotions. It had some of the best musical numbers I've seen done in a long time. And the whole I was curious once I read more into it of like I paused and began to read like what is this? Well, about 15 minutes in once I figured it out, I was like, oh, this was a one-man show he did. Okay.
Yeah.
I was like, how are you going to interpret a one-man show into an hour and a half long movie? And they did it perfectly. It still felt like it was just the thoughts inside someone's head just racing around like a one-man show should. But it was such a beautiful movie and such a beautiful tribute. I loved it.
one more thing about that movie. I put this out there on Twitter, but I still think it's very true. That movie also perfectly encapsulates, in my opinion, the struggles of the millennial generation today. Just throwing that out there. That kind of like aimless, listless, kind of just, you know, um, constant struggle. But yeah,
Yeah, his
so
agent
I
has
think
that
that's
great
why a lot of
line.
people relate.
His agent has that great line towards the end where she's like, where Andrew's like, what now? I'm like, well, you just write the next thing. And then you write the next thing. And then the next thing. And you hope that one of them sticks. Like that is like hustle mentality. That is like the way millennials operate. That's the way I operate. Like just hoping one day
Yeah.
something I do sticks.
So like I wonder if that's also why like people in my age group anyway, like that I've talked to absolutely love this movie in its entirety. And I kind of wonder if that's why, because it kind of just like speaks to the perpetual struggle that we're all kind of just
Mhm.
listlessly roaming in. So
I
yeah.
definitely think it does strike a chord with this generation very well.
I will say as well before we move on that if you know me, I'm not the biggest Lin-Manuel Miranda fan. Um, I don't like his music very much. I won't press on that further. So I was really worried. I was really worried going into Tick Tick Boom, being like, am I going to like this? I think one, the fact that like it's still Jonathan Larson's music throughout the whole thing is a big plus because his music rocks. But Lin-Manuel Miranda reworking it to like his take on his music, I think is still like tremendously so well done. Tess and I talked about like how so many of these songs like still resonate with us we talked about it on Large Popcorn. So that was like, I still think about these songs. Like when John was watching it the other day and like Tess started talking about the music, I remembered the music like instantly. It's so memorable. And then for this to be Lin-Manuel Miranda's directorial debut and for it to be this strong, his first movie, I think is like worth all the praise we're giving it.
Yeah, 100% is. And all I have to say is this is such a beautiful, amazing film. It is, again, another one of those type journey long films, and it does hit a residential chord, especially if you're in that 25 to 35 range. Give this a watch. It's worth every second of the time you spend with it. And with that, Christian, I bring
Oh,
it to what's your number 2 movie of the year?
I am scared to talk about my number two movie because I still haven't found a way to talk about it. So I'm gonna try my best. Okay. My number two movie is this really long Japanese epic directed by Hamaguchi called Drive My Car. Is it long? Yes. Do you feel the length? Not one bit. I started this bad boy up, and then before I knew it, 40 minutes in, the title screen hits, and I say, "Are you fucking kidding me?" And I stop the presses, I log on, and I start like writing down my notes like, "Are you fucking kidding me? This movie is doing it." Like, they just went there with like the vibes. Like, this movie is just like, let's enjoy these vibes. Let's hyper fixate on this one character and like try to read like our own life through him and how we should kind of experience grief and the way we try to move on from things, whatever that may be in your own life. And then that just goes for like the rest of like, 2.5 hours after that. And I didn't feel the length once. I was just hypnotized from start to finish. This is like phenomenal filmmaking. There is nothing wrong with it. It is a perfect movie. Is it my favorite movie of 2021? No. But like, objectively, do I think this filmmaking rocks? You bet your sweet ass. Yeah, this is my number two pick.
Now, I knew, so this was the movie that I could kind of guessed out your top 5, Christian, because I knew it was going to be very akin to my top 5 if a few things moved around.
Mm,
And this was one movie where I was like, it wasn't able to make my list. So I'm really hoping it makes Christian's because I want to talk about it.
yeah, cool movie.
God, that red Saab, that's the car now. That's the car you
Oh,
want to have.
I've never
God, the
seen
aesthetic of that Saab.
I've never seen cars look sexier in a movie. Never, not once. And it's just
I
like
have,
interior shots of like the car like
yeah,
turning or the stereo
yeah.
like on at like nighttime, and it's like, oh my god, this is like cinematic porno.
Oh, God, it was a beautiful film. It is a movie though that is near impossible to talk about. It is near impossible to talk about
Yeah,
and put it into words, but if you can handle a long movie, it is a amazing watch. It is so just every time you begin to almost fade away from it, it drags you directly back into eyes forward. You're here. My local art house has started playing it, so I'm definitely going to be seeing it
yeah.
sometime this week in theaters. I'm excited to.
He's got a before we move on, he's got a 5 hour movie called Happy Hour that I really want to watch, but it is 5 hours, so I'm like a little bit
That's a
trepidatious. Yeah,
commitment.
I know, but like whatever,
Oh,
I've seen the Lord of the Rings movies. I can watch this 5 hour like art piece. Why
mhm.
not?
What was that like? Oh God, that's not important. It's a topic for a different time. But
I would say, don't
again,
get me on Lord of the Rings. I will not shut up.
well, we can't wait to have you for whenever that inevitable Amazon show comes out.
I'm so ready.
But no, Drive My Car is such a no,
Sorry, y'all.
that was adorable.
Was that you, Tessa? I'm just kidding.
Absolutely. Sorry.
No, it's so good. It's so good.
I'm trying not to
Uh,
laugh because she's like drooling everywhere while it happened. Oh, okay.
I'll reroll with the punches here. This movie is just go watch it, go see it, go support it whenever it comes out on streaming. I know it's supposed to be soonish.
Yeah.
This is a movie that deserves your time and energy. That's where I'll go with it. And with that, we bring it to my number 2 movie of the year, and a movie that's been discussed already this episode. A movie that is on my t-shirt without the
Oh,
Garfield.
let's
Neon
go.
Genesis Evangelion 3.0 plus one Thrice Upon a Time. And because we already talked, I was so holding my, you could see I was holding my words back when Christian was talking because I was waiting for the moment too. I've watched Evangelion. I saw it almost 15, 16 years ago now. Holy fuck, that's a long time ago. I
Yeah.
watched it first whenever the hell I was in middle school. And now I'm 25 and getting to see the ending of it because I've seen end of and everything. I've seen every way Evangelion ended. To see a conclusion to an end of ends is amazing, and it's something that very few directors could ever pull off, let alone to the perfection which Hideaki Anno does it.
Yeah.
And he took 27 years and all the emotions he felt throughout every way he ended Evangelion, through it being coming to terms with yourself, to the pure raw anger which is end of, and then he's like, I've, I'm okay. It will be okay. Bad things happen. You get up, you walk, and you keep walking, because that's what you can only do as a human. And to see him tell that narrative throughout an amazing, beautiful film, one of the best looking animes I've ever seen, to some of the most insane pseudo psychedelic imageries I'll ever see. Music beats all
Mm.
hit right. I still listen to the music from that. It's always in my repeat. It's a beautiful film in every way. It's the only way I could imagine my favorite franchise of all time ending. It I The only thing that makes me sad is I never got a chance to see it on a big screen. I hope one day I do. That's truly it. And with that, it brings us to Tessa's number one film. Tessa, what is your number one film of 2021?
I think she may be
Is
taking care of Ruby right now.
She may take care of Ruby. So I'm going to move
So
to you then, Christian.
actually, well, we can respond to John real quick. He didn't like
Oh,
End
John
of
Hoffman?
John didn't like End of Evangelion, which sucks. I think End of Evangelion is really good, although I don't know, it's tough because Anno really made that movie like in a place of hate. So like, there's a lot of hate and disgust and filth in that movie, and it's purposely, right? It's done purposely,
Mhm.
but and that won't jive with everyone. So I can understand it on that front. That said, if you really did not like End of Ava, it is well worth your time to watch the rebuild films, because it's like, this is like the actual ending, and it's like truly inspired. It's so fun. This is probably the best
It
ending to a series I've ever seen.
it is 100% the best ending to a series I've ever seen. It is End of is a again, it is a violent, angry, upset film. It it knows it came from a place of a guy who just got dumped and is getting a shit ton of hate mail because his what was considered savior of anime ended in crayon drawings.
Mm,
And so when he got the budget to say F you to everyone and everything on this planet, he did that. And there was a time in my life where I understood that anger, and that's why I resonated with End of. But just like him, you grow out of that. You grow, you get past it. That anger disappears, and you left with contentment. And 3 point plus 1 is that contentment, and that it will be okay.
yeah,
And to end something as grand as Evangelion, the probably most influential anime other than Akira, is a hell of a hard job to do.
yeah.
An insanely hard job.
Okay. While Tessa's gone, I can say my number one, but just hilarious that Ruben put us in charge here, and little did he know, like, just so we can talk about Evangelion. Any excuse
Yeah.
to bring it up in Penultimate Conquest. Ryan,
Ruben. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't think Tessa's back yet. Is that right? Tessa, you here?
I don't think Tessa's back yet.
Okay, perfect. That's fine. In that case, you want my number one?
I want your number one.
Okay.
Hit me
I
with
think
it.
I think you can guess. Number one is a small movie that we actually talked about on the show, the Cross Media Show, a long time ago. Ryan, you were on that episode. Ruben was also on that episode.
Of course I was on that episode.
Small movie. Is it
Mike?
his best? No. Is it his best on a filmmaking standpoint? I think so. If this isn't like getting nominated for best cinematography, best art, like design, the fucking practical effects in this movie are insane. Of course, I'm talking about Denis Villeneuve's Dune. Is it perfect? No, far from it, right? It's half a movie, technically. We still have part 2. Did Denis film the unfilmable with part 1? Absolutely. I think if you understand... there's an ad. Sorry, John. I think if you understand the core of what Frank Herbert's Dune is all about, and granted, that novel wasn't perfect either, I think you will really respect how Denis brings that novel to life. Again, I want to iterate for everyone who doesn't jive with Dune, who thinks these characters suck. That is kind of the point. Like, what's his name? Paul Atreides. He's a shitty guy. Oscar Isaac, as much as we love him, he's a shitty guy too, for different reasons. Chani's probably like the greatest. Her depiction in the novel, not good. I'm really hoping Denis really changes Chani's depiction in the... I'm gonna stop rambling here. Denis Villeneuve filmed the unfilmable with Dune. Dune is just like a near perfect movie. It's one of my favorite Denis Villeneuve movies, but like it's not one of my favorite Denis Villeneuve movies, but it is up there. Like I think it is so well done and like just masterful on so many levels.
Well, Christian, if you wouldn't mind checking the pen chat for me, I just wanted to get an update on that.
Oh, mic issues. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, if she can leave, and then I'll closing Discord and then coming back in.
I think that'll fix it.
Yeah, that should.
While we deal with these podcast problems, I'm going to do a little ad break, a spicy little ad break in here, which is this episode is brought to you by Buzzsprout. Podcasting isn't.
Oh, she's back.
Buzzsprout.
And got on my phone, so sorry if I sound different.
That's
It's
okay.
all good. It's all good. We're going to finish out our little ad read here. We didn't know how long this would take. I was not expecting you to come back that fast. I'll be honest.
You want to restart the? You want to restart the
I'm gonna
ad?
restart that. Yeah. We need to give respect.
Sorry.
This episode is brought to you by Buzzsprout. Podcasting isn't hard when you have the right partners. Which is why we partnered with Buzzsprout to help you succeed. Buzzsprout gets your shows listened to in every major podcast platform. So join over 100,000 podcasters already using Buzzsprout to get their message out to the world. If you're looking for a good-looking podcasting website, audio players that can be dropped into other websites, and most importantly, detailed analytics to see how your listeners are listening, tools to promote your episodes, and more, follow the link in the description below. Buzzsprout, and let them know we sent you. And if you sign up for a paid membership, you get a $20 Amazon gift card if you let them know we sent you. Now, back to the show.
Right.
All right. And with that, Tessa, what is your number one movie?
Oh, hold on. Because I heard Christians. I am one of the people who don't like Dune. So I just
Which is
wanted to
fair.
touch on that.
It's
not so much.
understandable.
It's not so much I dislike the characters. I dislike the lack of character development. It's fine that they're supposed to be terrible characters. It's just the lack of any kind of development to their characters. Because I love characters that are terrible. Like, I get that's their purpose, but I don't know. It's just very, very one note to me. Which is a shame because I was so amped up for it. I was so ready. I was like, this is great. They have powerhouse actors. And I feel like they kind of got wasted, but
I think that just goes back to the problem that the movie was kind of held hostage by HBO, or not by HBO, by Warner Brothers. That no one knew if part 2 was even gonna happen. Like not even Denis Villeneuve, not even the actors.
Yeah, and I get that. I just wanted to throw my 2 cents out there.
No, and I love that we can all have different opinions here, and that'd be fine. That's what I want. When we do these top 5s of the year, I want to hear every sort of thing that I can possibly hear. And with that, what is your number one, Tessa?
My number one is definitely, without a doubt, James Bond, No Time to Die.
Interesting.
Strong pick. I
So,
like that a lot.
fun fact about me, I grew up on James Bond. I love James Bond. I read James Bond.
I'm glad
I
that you said that. Most people forget that he came from a book. I'm really glad you said that.
and I didn't really care necessarily for the earlier movies. I watched them because they were fun. But oh my goodness, from the first one he was in, Daniel Craig as James Bond, and all the films he has been in, minus, maybe one. But he's just done such a beautiful job with that character. The films themselves have all been really well. Quantum of Solace is kind of lacking, but we won't talk about that. But what a beautiful humanizing end to a character that you don't ever really see as human. I know that sounds strange, but it's a character that runs into bullets and has no hesitation, somehow survives all of it. He never dies. And I just thought it was a beautiful, beautiful way to end that character. Not only does he die, but he dies making a sacrifice. And honestly, I just saw that my theater is still showing it in IMAX, which is interesting, and I might go see it again in theaters.
It's definitely a blockbuster worthy of a theater experience.
Yeah, I really love that film. Also, I love that they still showed the effect that Vesper had on him, who, by the way, best Bond girl, hands down, no doubt, is Eva
Yeah.
Green.
Oh,
fantastic.
sorry. I thought you were gonna say that Lea Seydoux was the best Bond girl. I was like, heck yeah, Lea Seydoux rocks.
No, Eva Green is the best Bond girl, in my opinion. But I love that, even though he's moved on and obviously has been with other people because it is James Bond, they show that, like, she was definitely like that first love. And honestly, I think that might be his only love. Hate to say that, but
Get out. No way. He does not end this movie the way he does if he did not love Lea Seydoux.
You could also argue that it was for the little girl, not so much her. Just saying.
I'm gonna agree to disagree with you on here. Like, I don't care that you hate Dune. This I'll die on. This I'll die on.
Hold on. Let me further specify what I mean by that. You can love someone and not be in love with them, if that makes sense. Like, you can't,
Yes, I understand what you mean.
Like, I feel like the way, because even at the end of Casino Royale, you see him just emotionally shut down, like he's done. Like, that is what creates James Bond. And you can argue he did not let the most recent one in like that on that level, he told her details of his childhood. He connected with her on a very specific level, and then after that, after she betrayed him and died, he was like, no, I'm done. So I think he loved her. I think he loved her very much. I also think that he saw her and saw the little girl who looked very much like him and was like, well, I can't let them die. So, yeah. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm a little distracted with the baby. I apologize if I'm not coherent.
No, it's all good. It's all good.
I hope what I said makes sense, but I absolutely love that movie.
It definitely did. I am going to take a second to talk about that movie. Just because I come from a family where let's just say me and my father didn't have a lot of things we always agreed on, but if there's something me and him both love, and it's the reason why I have such an appreciation and love for cinema, it is going to the theaters every week with my dad back when I was a kid to pretty much when I moved out of the house. Me and him would go see a movie every Sunday, whatever's playing, from weird indie shit to the biggest of blockbusters. And my dad's personal favorite character of all time was James Bond. I remember seeing Casino Royale, all of those movies. And so it's where I go see my dad, we do something, but me and him did go see the last Daniel Craig Bond movie together, because that will be the Bond I remember and the Bond I will always associate with the name, even though I do love the older films. But it was definitely a great way for that character to have a send-off. I just want to put that out there.
Shout out to
And-
Ana Darmas as well, who needed more screen time in No Time to Die.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. But
Mhm.
Cristian, I thought of a perfect way to explain what I was saying.
Mm-hmm.
God
Is it Gilmore
forbid,
Girls?
but like say,
Sorry, go ahead.
God forbid that something were to happen, but say something happened to Eric. I'm in love with
No.
Eric. I would never be in love with anyone else. Could I love someone else? Maybe, but it wouldn't be the same.
I understand.
Yeah,
I don't agree
I was
with
like,
you,
let
but I
me just
understand.
say the unthinkable while the thought is there to further explain. But yeah,
Let's
Okay.
all collectively knock on wood together.
1, 2, 3.
Nice.
All right, and with that, it brings us to the last movie, my final movie, and a movie I never thought I'd see in my lifetime. It was described as the unfilmable, and we're gonna take a little journey through the desert for this one.
Oh.
Back a long, long time ago, my mother handed me a book right when I was down in middle school with the title Frank Herbert's Dune on it. She was like, "This is my personal favorite book of all time. Please read these. You're at an age now where you can appreciate these." So I did, and they slowly became my favorite book of all time. And I'm gonna get a little deep here again with movies, because movies mean a lot to me, and I rarely get to speak about them. Fear is the Mind Killer is something I've said to myself since I learned I had panic attacks about 7 years ago, and it's something I've always strived to remember. And it's one of the few lines that have kept me going. It's why I'm planning to have it tattooed on my leg. It is a very important line to me, and of course this line comes from Dune, which finally got the justice it deserved on the silver screen this year. And God, what a film it was. Dune is, like Cristian said, maybe not the best movie of the year, but it is my favorite movie of the year. It captured worlds and characters I've only ever seen in my head. And I was also worried that it was a part one. I like the aspect of Dune that it is just a big FU that we need a part two. From the whole way he sets up that film and everything, he's saying, I'm making a part two. I want to make a part two. I screwed a studio executive. He should have given me 2 movies.
Mhm.
Hopefully, I could go for 3. I could understand it being 3. I think it's going to be 2, though. But I do understand all the criticism. The characters only halfway through their development. It's like any trilogy, any story of this length. It is going to be a little weak in the beginning, but the way they captured so many amazing moments, the way they captured him sticking his hand in the box, that is one of my favorite scenes in all of cinema, is him taking the test to see if he's worthy.
Really well
To
done
see,
scene.
is he the one? Is he it? Or is he going to back out like many have before him? But he stays there and he holds throughout all of it. And it's amazing. To the way they just captured what the barrenness of Arrakis. And Villeneuve he's a master of cinema. He is a master of cinematography. The shots and everything he does are beautiful and gorgeous. Through the sprawling deserts to the mountain ranges to then this space. He made space look so beautiful, and the enormousness which is it in the vastness of it. When he was showing the ships flying into Arrakis through the teleporter, which hopefully we get more into in the next couple movies, and how they can move time and space to teleport throughout time and space. How the navigators all work, why spice is important, I hopefully comes up in these next few movies, because there's some of the most interesting things. David Lynch, I love you, but God, did you fuck up Dune. I'm glad finally someone did it right.
Hilarious.
I
And
just
that's
want to
why,
say,
yes, Tessa.
I'm sorry. I just wanted to say before the thought escaped me. Um, I know that part of it is that it is setting up. It's like the first part of the book. I respect that. Um, so I do understand why you were saying, like, of course it has its criticisms. The characters aren't really fully set up. But I just want to point out, and I said don't get me started talking on this, but I'm going to make myself talk about it for like 2 seconds. A really lengthy book that did that very well with film. And I don't know if it's like a testament to Tolkien or Peter Jackson or what, but Fellowship of the Ring is still they do such a wonderful job of balancing that character setup and developing that world and showing you all the things without, you know, lagging in certain areas, I guess. And I get that, it is a setup, and maybe I'm being unfair towards it, because I have never read Dune. But yeah, I just wanted to throw that out there, that I think that there is a way for most books to do it, but most book to movie films, let's be honest, do fall a little short.
That's an interesting comparison. One with which I kind of agree with you to an extent. I think Lord of the Rings is interesting because I think the Tolkien books, or just the characters in that movie, like in general, I think Frank even points at Harry Potter as well. I think those are like clear to see kind of like character dynamics and the way like those characterizations kind of change along the way. That's not to say like Dune is like good at this. It's just that it's different because like the overarching theme is just like politics is fucked up, and like let's look at how this changes not just people but how it abuses people over like not like not through the characters itself but like through like thousands of years, and like let's like hyperfixate on like one small lifetime for just like 600 pages.
But
yeah, I'm like, I don't know, I'm like both illustrating your point that Dune doesn't do it as good, but also like saying like here's how it does it like differently, and there's still like a part 2 left.
And
that's
Dune,
the thing, I've never read the book, so I'm saying that with not a full educated background on the subject, but also the way you've just explained that. I mean, think about every other film on my list, how I described it and how much I loved it. It was because of the characters. So I guess it's just one of those things that aren't for me. I love character driven things, and yeah, this just missed it for me. But anyway, continue. I'm sorry, Ryan.
No, that's fine. It brings me back to, you may be able to help me with this one, Christian. When the Bene Gesserits are talking, and they're like, we don't work in lifetimes, we work in centuries or generations. That's the storytelling of Dune. It is, we've reached that point, but there's so much there that is just messing with one family's linear genes for thousands upon thousands of years, because that's the time span they're allowed to work with. Now, I will admit this one, because if we brought it up, I'm not a big Tolkien guy. I have never been a big Tolkien guy. I love parts of Lord of the Rings, but some Tolkien stuff just doesn't hit for me. Like, my personal favorite of his books is the Silmarillion, because I like world building. That's what can capture me, is making me feel like I'm living in that world. And that's something Dune does very well. I think it makes me feel like I'm on Arrakis. Every time I look through the sand and everything in that movie, it makes you feel like you're there. The
last thing I'll say about Dune, the very last thing, shout out to Hans Zimmer for just going off the shits and being like, oh, Denis, you're making a Dune movie? Yeah, let me make 3 albums worth of music just because I want to. I'm like, all right, cool, thanks Hans Zimmer.
Did I buy those albums on vinyl? Yes.
Ryan, I have a very specific question for you, just out of curiosity, because I want to see if we really are just like 2 sides to a coin, like complete opposites, but like still there. Out of curiosity, did you enjoy reading Game of Thrones books?
Yeah, I loved it.
See, and I hated it because he spends so much time describing things. I'm like, bruh, just get to the characters. God.
No, I want to know the world I'm in. I want to be able to fully 360 visualize.
I think this is like the perfect representation of people who love Dune and people who don't like it. Yeah. I was just curious. Like, I was like, let me find out, because that's some perfect way to figure it out real fast.
This movie is
That is
pretty
a
much just
perfect way.
world building the movie.
It is. It is. God,
Yeah.
put me in for another 4 hours. Make the next one 4. I can handle it.
It's like Blade Runner for me. Like, yeah, just tell me more about this world.
Yeah,
Dude, those-
Tolkien's descriptive, but he's descriptive about the characters, whereas George R. R. Martin's like descriptive about like, let me describe this roast venison like for 4 pages and all the juices flowing out of it, and yeah, and I can't with
God,
that.
people can't bring up Blade Runner and Game of Thrones this close around me. I'll start talking for hours. And with that, before that happens, I just want to give any final words, anything anyone wants to say about movies of this year, anything left, any honorable mentions, anything like that.
I will not be giving any honorable mentions because I have a top 21 that I'm working on that I want to release later. So I have to save those for later. So none from me. All I'll say is I've seen let's see here, 64 2021 movies, soon to be 66 or 67 after this week. And there was a lot. Like my top 20 needed seriously like a lot of reworking. Yeah, good movies this year or last year.
I am going to give 2 real quick honorable mentions because I don't know what else I'm going to have a chance to talk about these movies. That is, first, these are 2 completely different movies and really expands my love of cinema and everything. One is an animated movie, not by any Disney this year though, but by Sony Pictures, and that's Mitchell vs. the Machines. I loved that movie. I thought it was the best animated movie of the year, and one of the most heartfelt depictions of family that I've ever seen in a film. That movie reminds me of my family very much, and I loved it for it. And the second one is going to be Licorice Pizza. I have no idea my thoughts on that movie, but I've seen it twice now, and it's just a weird, good movie. That's all I wanted to say.
I mean, that's a fitting description for a movie with a weird, good title.
It's a strange film, but it's a weird and fun watch. I would say that. With that, we get to plugs.
No.
Tessa,
What are we doing? What are you doing?
Oh my god, I forgot we even had a poll. Now it's weighted.
I desperately needed one more person to submit something because we have 2 tiebreakers or 2 ties in the top 5. So we're gonna leave it as that. You guys ready for this?
All right.
This is an insane list. But
yeah, hit me.
We're gonna roll with it anyway. Tessa, I think you might hate it and love it. Number 5. Coming in at number 5. No Time to Die. James Bond. You did it. You made it. Congratulations. Tied for 3rd and 4th, we have 2 movies. 1, The Suicide Squad. Not to be confused with Suicide Squad 2016. And Dune. Congratulations. Number 3 and 4. Tied for 1st and 2nd, we have, congratulations, Andrew Garfield, Tick, Tick, Boom, you have made it. And congratulations, Andrew Garfield again, Spider-Man, No Way Home.
Yeah, that's what I was expecting.
Mm-hmm.
Yay, Andrew Garfield.
That's who really wins here is Andrew Garfield.
That's who really wins at over here at Penultimate Conquest. We love you, Andrew Garfield. Keep making great movies. Because God, you did great in 2 of them this year.
Mm-hmm.
And in a couple years back that people don't give enough credit to.
And I'm gonna ask again, Christian. There's a movie with him you have to watch.
I'm trying to download it for my flight this weekend. So yes, I'm gonna get to it.
Okay.
What movie?
It's a movie called Never Let Me Go, which is based on a book that I absolutely love, and the movie is just heartbreaking as hell, but it's really good.
Oh,
and it's the first thing I ever saw Andrew Garfield in. It was my introduction to him.
God, how young was he in this?
Was he blonde in this one?
No, but his head was shaved-ish. He had that like barely there hair, you know.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Buzz cut, whatever.
But yeah, that's the word I'm looking for. Buzz cut. But
awesome.
yeah.
Right. All right. And with that, we get to plugs. With our movie of the year being No Way Home. Somewhere
and Tick, Tick, Boom.
And Tick, Tick, Boom. They tied?
They tied, yeah. Tied for 1st and 2nd.
Oh my God. I thought 3 and 4 were tied.
Yes.
Then we're tied.
They are.
And
So,
one
okay,
and two are
those two are
tied.
tied. Okay. I thought 4 and 5 and 3 and 2. I didn't know 1 and 2 were. Okay.
Yeah.
You know what? I actually respect the hell out of that final list.
Yeah, no, I love that list. It's a list that
Solid.
really encaptures just how insanely crazy this year's cinema was.
I will say, number 6, would have loved to see you in the top 5. Evangelion 3.0 plus 1.0. That's the last time I'll bring up Evangelion on the show.
Oh my god. Alrighty. And with that, we get the plugs. Tessa, do you have anything you want to plug today?
Not in particular. You can follow me on Twitter at SmashBro, but that's about it. I'm really boring. I think the last few tweets I made were about my love of Andrew Garfield.
Mm.
So there you
Well,
go.
then it perfectly fits the list. Cristian, what about you, my friend?
Please follow me at IsoChristian over on Twitter. I tweet a lot about the stuff that I'm working on, including my movie podcast, Large Popcorn. It's a bi-weekly show. The next episode is our movie club with Park Chan-wook's Thirst, vampire thriller, 2009. I also do a weekly gaming show every Wednesday at Podcast PXN. And lastly, here at this channel, at the Penultimate Conquest, where I will be releasing a brand new video essay this week. So look forward to that.
I actually forgot. Can I mention something else?
Oh, sure.
If you have any interest in in an actual future history-based podcast with weird facts about history and strange stories in it, you should follow me on Twitter because more will be released about that. So
Exciting. Love to hear it. Can't wait. And also, Cristian, can't wait for that movie club. Still need to watch the movie, but definitely be in that chat for that one.
You got till Monday or anytime after.
Fantastic. And all I'm plugging is my Twitter like usual, RyanTheLine3055, where you can find my hot takes and wherever the hell I am on this wild world of the internet. And with that, after a very fun conversation of movies, brings us to an end. Thank you and good night.
Oh yeah, I have to. Goodbye, everyone.